أنتم حديثي وشغلي يا قبلتي في صلاتي إذا وقفت صلى. جمالكم نصب عيني إليه وجهت كلي وسركم في ضميري والقلب طور التجلي الله أنتم.
As a continuation to our previous meeting and sessions that have been devoted to the speech on Sudanese Sufis and their concern to women education, he just would like to continue, and in this special episode we would like to experience together those great names among Sufis who have provided and granted their support to women issues, putting in consideration that Sufis, Sudanese Sufis generally, and since they have their own concern and care for men spiritually, religiously. Furthermore, they have their own very same concern and care for women and their development religiously, socially, educationally, and spiritually. However, in our meeting this time, just we would like to provide an example among those great Sufis in Sudan, those who have provided and, as I told, granted their support for women issues. And I have stated that Sheikh Hamad Wad Maryum is the first among those great men. That is, Sheikh Hamad Wad Maryum has lived during the year 1645 and passed away in the year 1730 AD. Furthermore, also would like to encounter another important figure, that is Sheikh Badawi Wad Safiya. In addition to Sheikh Abdurrahim al-Bur'i, and furthermore we have Sheikh Muhammad al-Sabunabi, and then we have Sharif Abu al-Qasim. So these figures, by the way, have been taken as an example to those Sudanese Sufis who granted their support, their full support for women issues across time and across different places inside the country.
ولاح سر خفي يدريه من كان مثلي وصرت موسى زماني مصاربة أعطي كل الله أنتم.
The audience, I would like to welcome you to this new episode, as I told, and in our presence, influential, significant, and prominent Sudanese Sufi, that is Sheikh Hamad Wad Maryum. So we would like to take him as an example of a Sufi guide that has granted his time, providing his support to women issues. And for this, I would like, first of all, to introduce his biography. So, Sheikh Hamad Wad Maryum, 1645, 1730 AD. His biography informed that he was born in Tuti, neighborhood of Khartoum, in the year 1645. And he was the first Sudanese who founded Quranic Khalwa with accommodation for women's education. These buildings, the Khalawis that Sheikh Hamad had established for both learning and living, were constructed in the area of the current Blue Nile Bridge and the Republican Palace on Blue Nile shore in Khartoum. And it was reported in the story life of this noble sheikh that the majority of his followers were women. And this point leads us to think carefully about the foundation of girls' education in Sudan. So historians and researchers affirmed that girls' education in its earliest stages, mainly in its religious form, referred to Sufis. And among those great Sufis who provided and granted his efforts and contribution to girl education was Sheikh Hamad Maryam. So Sheikh Hamad, by the way, Sheikh Hamad Maryam, his contribution is not confined only to education. I'm referring here to his concern to girls' education, but furthermore, his combat and his struggle and efforts towards the practice of female circumcision. So he stands firmly as an advocate and at the same time supporter for women issues. And in this special concern, he is one of the earliest Sudanese Sufis to stand against the idea of girls or female circumcision, serving as one of the first advocates for the rights, for the women rights. So one of his students had written an elegy or poem in which he praised his efforts in that sense. However, he considered a social reformer. He spent the majority of his 87 years in the religious service, divided between learning and teaching. Out of his care and concern for his community is that 500 houses at Hillat Hamad. And by the way, to his credit also, the foundation of Hillat Hamad. And by the way, Hillat Hamad now is one of the major centers, major suburb of Khartoum. And by the way, his efforts is considered one of the Sufis' efforts in the way of establishing Sudanese villages and cities. So the area that he had established his Quranic school was there in Hillat Hamad, in which it had been taken its name from the founder, Sheikh Hamad Maryam. So in addition to to his concern with the teaching of the Holy Quran, furthermore, he was so very concerned of educating the populace, mainly the women, the fiqh of Imam Malik, with special reference to Mukhtasar Khalil. And it has been reported that women in the suburb used to memorize Mukhtasar Khalil in Maliki fiqh by heart. Among the significant Sudanese Sufis that furthermore provided his support and granted his care and concern for women education was Sheikh Muhammad al-Sabunabi. So Sheikh Muhammad al-Sabunabi, 1898 1984, was one of the Sufis who placed a high value on women's education. Sheikh Muhammad al-Sabunabi started his work within the mosque, where many ladies memorized the Holy Quran. He also taught a lot of other Islamic sciences. So in addition to his concern for obtaining or for granting the opportunities for women to attend and to be part of the Holy Quran, Khalwa, by the way, to memorize the Holy Quran. Furthermore, he also granted and provided women with Islamic sciences, including the sciences of the Holy Quran, that is Tajweed. Furthermore, he provided them also with lessons in jurisprudence, monotheism, mysticism or Sufism, and grammar. So this is one of his efforts that he intended to provide for women at that time. His daughter, a poet and Quran teacher, السيدة ليلى الصابونابي, stated in an interview, I studied the Quran with my father from a young age. So I would like to tell that I have interviewed the lady Sayyida Layla Sheikh Muhammad al-Sabunabi through the phone. Out of her speech, she stated that she studied the Quran under her father, Sheikh Muhammad al-Sabunabi, and came to its memorization from a young age. And furthermore, he told that Sheikh al-Sabunabi had a very special interest in girls' education. Among those who had learned the Quran by heart under his supervision were my mother and sister, and that is the words of Layla al-Sabunabi. Under his direction, under her father's direction, she told, we studied other subjects including monotheism, Tawheed, and prophetic seerah. However, and out of her father's concern and care for girl education, Sayyida Layla al-Sabunabi is still alive, lead now the Holy Quran. She has her contribution to girls' education through the enrollment of girls into her Quranic school, Khalwa, and they spend time so as to memorize the Holy Quran. In addition to that, she is a poet, accomplished poet, and in the coming episodes, an episode will be granted to take her biography, her contribution to the society to the present day. So she used to, by the way, to provide, they told the girls the chance to be enrolled into her Quranic school. In addition to that, she is a poem writer, she is a poetry writer, and she still writes her own poetry in praise of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Furthermore, poetry that speak about the culture and the language and the tradition of the Holy Quran, the tradition of the Khalwa. The audience, I would like to reminding you that I'm presenting Sudanese Sufis as supporters for women education. And in this part of our episode, just here I would like to present another influential, a living example of woman advocates' rights, and that is Sheikh Abdurrahim, Sheikh Muhammad Allah, better known as Al-Bur'i. So Sheikh Abdurrahim Al-Bur'i, 1923-2005. The very beauty Sheikh and spiritual guide as well as the poet Sheikh Ibrahim al-Burai, he stood as one of the outstanding Sudanese Sufi figures who have shown great strong support to Sudanese women. So women in his poetry has been granted with numerous poems reflecting his support and at the same time showing him as an advocate for the rights, and he is so very famous in this regard. So as we have presented him in more than one episode, we have come across in his biography that he is considered one of the social reformers among Sufis and among Sudanese scholars in general. And because of this, we have stated in his biography that is during 1970s, Sheikh al-Burai invited guests to a meeting that was being held at his residence in Zariba, north of Kordofan, with a group of College of Medicine, University of Khartoum. So in that time, during 1970, Sheikh al-Burai had invited a group of Khartoum University College of Medicine doctor to attend or to organize a symposium with the focus on addressing women issues. And the symposium, which as I told was organized in Zariba by Sheikh al-Burai, included students from the College of Medicine, University of Khartoum, in addition to certain medical professionals. So the main objective of the symposium is focusing on the opposition of the harmful practices of girl circumcision. So in this regard, Sheikh Ibrahim al-Burai was considered furthermore one of the earliest who stood firmly to defend and to support women issues, and he considered one of the social reformers in the way of combating the harmful practice that used to be practiced by Sudanese, mainly on the area of girls' circumcision. So Sheikh al-Burai combated this harmful habit that is during 1970s, and by the way express this movement, and he reflects this belief in his own poem, in which he calls upon society members, society leaders to stand against the idea of girls' education as a harmful phenomena that harm the society in general and girls in particular. However, in that sense, he is considered an anti-female genital mutilation. So you find him an outspoken advocate for women's rights, and you may find him addressing women issues in his speeches, in his sermons, for he is the imam of his own masjid or his Sufi center. He used to speak about his harmful habit throughout his sermons. In addition to that, it is so very clear furthermore in his poetry writings and other writings to support this tendency. However, you will undoubtedly come across outs like The Blessed Wife. So among his composition of poems in favor of women's rights is his noted and out fame, or the well-famed Awd الزوجة المباركة. So you find him speak about these notions that is concerning women issues. Furthermore, you find him in another poem entitled Al-Ayama, and unmarried women. You find him also speaking openly calling for giving and providing greater concern to women issues. To quote part of the lines of the poem, just I would like to read: الأيام زينت الأيام. يا رب الأنام صحي القلب نام، بالهادي الختام وأصحاب الكرامة. خير الأنام أوصى بالأيام والضعف اليتامى، وأيضا ذو الفطامة. قال من طرد دينه بالإسلام يدين، الحافظ يمين ذو خلق أمين. أسرعوا زوجوهم قد لا تحوجوهم، بالخير توجوهم كي تضوي وجوههم. So as you listen, dear audience, in these lines, this is by the way part of his famous poem Al-Ayyama, the unmarried woman. An entire episode have been granted or provided by the Sheikh to speak about this special kind of women in the society, that unmarried woman. The Sheikh here in these poems call upon the society leaders, the society members, to give their concern, to haste in a way of providing the support and the help to unmarried women to be to have to enjoy the life through marriage. And he called upon the society not to be so arrogant, so to be selfish in a way that neglecting women issues, with a special concern to that side of the women, that kind of the women, the unmarried one. However, he went further, our poet Sha'b Rahim al-Bur'i went further and tell بالحيل اعتنوهن. So he called upon society members to be strongly concerned with their issues, giving the society, giving the support to their own issues. بالدين متنوهن, strengthen them with religion. قد لا تختنوهن, and this is a message in which Sheikh al-Bur'i would like to deliver to his own listeners. قد لا تختنوهن, circumcise them never. So by this he considered one of the earliest Sufis. He is considered one of the earliest scholars and spiritual guides who call upon the society member to be very concerned on the issue of girl circumcision, and he provide the reason behind why society should not encourage girl circumcision. He told في ذلك مضرة بالزوجات أضرة. So harmful is there, and the consequences that followed the way of following the practice of girl circumcision is there, and how difficult enough the society, and how difficult enough the experience of following this practice, that is a practice of girl circumcision. However, the side effect of following this harmful practice by Sudanese, in which Sheikh al-Bur'i stand as an advocate, stand against the idea of this practice, is there in the words of physicians, how it is so harmful, and in many cases cause the death of the girl, mainly on the time of giving birth. From another side, Shah Abdul Rahman al-Burai stand also as a supporter for the unmarried women and men. And for this, and since 1950s, used to organize what is known as collective marriage. And the idea of collective marriage is there in the simplification of marriage itself. And he started projects to help the youth of low income to marry with low dowry. Meanwhile, among the girls' education supporters amongst Sudanese Sufis was Sheikh Sharif Abul Qasim Muhammad Banaga, who passed away in the year 2021 AD. So he is founder of Mukashfiya Sufi Center of Rafah, Center Sudan, and as a spiritual guide, he was student of the renowned Qutb Shah Abdul Baqi al-Mukashfi. Sheikh Abul Qasim, Sharif Abul Qasim, was also a supporter of the Sufi women and did not overlook their side. He cared about educating men and gave special attention to women because they have the same rights and legitimate duties as men. They are the teachers of generations and care for them because they were devoted to raising their children, spending most of their time at home. Therefore, in addition to the sciences of Sunnah, prophetic Sunnah, jurisprudence, monotheism, and all other intellectual, social, and spiritual activities of the Masjid of Sharif Abul Qasim, the student of the Masjid or the center of Sharif Abul Qasim committed the Quran and its many sciences to memory. So a lot of people, among them women, had memorized the whole Quran in the Masjid. According to the Sheikh, women play an important part in society today. They are just as concerned and close to men as they are when it comes to rearing children. And if they find more care and concern, it will undoubtedly assist to create and produce a decent generation in the future. Many Murid sisters from the educated class who obtained post-university education were among those who were initiated under him into the Sufi path of the Qadiriya Mukashfiya Sufi order. Many of them stand out as they are magnificent poets who, in addition to the lamentations of the poems that composed upon the passing of their noble teacher Sharif Abul Qasim, wrote masterpieces and pearls in praise of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So what I would like to say that among his students there are so many educated women, many educated girls that finish their university education, and some other went further and have carried out their postgraduate studies. So among those girls and murids of Sharif Abul Qasim, there are a lot of poets that used to produce and compose poetry, and some of them, they have written their own lamentations poems on the passing away of their spiritual guide, Sharif Abu Qasim. In addition to that, so a lot of them, furthermore, they are known with their protection to the prophetic Madih poetry. However, at the end of this episode, what I would like to say is that Sudanese Sufis in general, since they provide their own concern and care for men to be evolved spiritually, religiously, socially, and culturally, in addition to educationally, furthermore, they also have their own support and care and concern to women. That is, men and women together make up the society, make up the family, and out of that we have the society and then the community, and then we have communities among one nation, or so on and so forth. So because of this, and as we have presented in this episode, we have taken some examples. Just we have taken this example, a sample of Sudanese supporters among Sufis to the women issues, and we come across those great men just to provide an example. Till finding you in another episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.